Hey guys, and welcome back to the Junkie podcast. My name is Amber. This is the 52nd episode. If you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. If you're a new viewer, here comes one of my dogs. I live in Texas with my husband, our 2 daughters, and 3 dogs. This is Lucy, my Mastiff. She almost always comes over as soon as she hears me talking and wants to see what's going on. So, hi guys, it's been a while. It's been a minute. I'm talking kind of low, so I hope the volume's okay because I got up early so I could record because I haven't had time. It's been like a month since I've last spoken with you. Now she's rocking the chair. Go lay down. You're too big. Go lay down. It's been about a month since I've last spoken with you guys, and we did some traveling at Christmas. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy New Year, because it is now 2017. I'm peeking down at my notes. Places I can be found online on Instagram, I can be found as _YarnJunkie, and on Ravelry, YarnJunkie with the number 6. And then there's a Yarn Junkie podcast group that is kind of dead, but it's there. If you want to join, be my guest. So I have so much to show y'all, as you can imagine. Since it's been a month, there's just been tons of knitting going on. I finished like 7 or 8 things over the course of December and January, the beginning of January. So the date is January 16th. It's Monday. Yesterday was my mom's birthday. Not to get into all that, but my mom passed away a little over a year ago now. So January is just not the most pleasant time. I've cast on a lot of things because of all the anxiety that I've had. A lot of things I've cast on, so many things. So I'm just going to jump right in and show y'all the knitting because that's why you're here. First things first, I finished these right before we left for Christmas. These are my Christmas socks. I freaking love these. This self-striping yarn is Post yarn in the Jollyville, Texas colorway, and it is a Corriedale yarn, so it's a bit more rustic. I actually knit another pair of Post yarn socks last year. It was a Trella's Harry Potter socks. I really love it. They're good hard-wearing socks. I machine wash most of my socks and just lay them out to dry, and they just hold up so well. But the contrasting or coordinating heel is Woolen Vine in her Succulents colorway, and look how well that matches. That just makes me so happy. And I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I did these on DPNs. I don't often use DPNs anymore, but all my other sock needles were being used. It reminded me how much I love DPNs. And then the toe is kind of ratty looking because, again, I've washed and worn these a couple times. Nitpicks, just some tonal that I had in the stash. And it is I think it's the colorway Heartfelt. But I love these. I can't get over them. And I'm going to put them on because I don't have socks on. We have concrete floors, and it is quite cold. My house is always cold, especially in the living room where I'm sitting right now. I am probably, I'm not good at this, but 8-9 feet from the door. I'm not a good judge of like distance. And our door is it's just kind of, the house isn't very well built. Thank God we're renting this place. And the door just doesn't sit closed all the way, and so when it's cold outside, it just sort of is just always cold in here, no matter how hot we turn on the heater. And we can't do it that hot because then our bedroom is a furnace. Like, you walk in there and the heat hits you in the face. Sorry to be distracting or to go off on a tangent while putting on my socks. That was my first FO. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Like I said, it's early in the morning, so I'm drinking coffee. Tea is not a strong enough beverage for Amber in the morning. And this is my mug that I got at Stitches 2 years ago. I really love it. So another finished object, since that's what we're doing. I have so many, you guys. I have so many finished objects. This was the next finished object? No. I want to go in order. Is that weird? So the next finished object I did is this tiny little Christmas sweater. And the pattern is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I believe it's called the Tiny Sweater Ornament. And it has it's a white sweater with a snowflake embroidered on. I didn't do that, I just used my scraps from my post yarn. And this worked up so quick, guys. I baked chocolate chip cookies with the girls and knit on this, and I had it done through several batches of cookies, but it was done in a day, and I just loved knitting it. And there's actually several podcasters doing knit-alongs for ornaments this year, like year-long knit-alongs to knit ornaments. I think Naughty Knitwits may be doing it, like a Stuff It along, and Amber from Maker's Haven. Hi, Amber, if you're watching, and Molly of a Homespun House are co-hosting an ornament along. And I definitely want to make, just having this one at Christmas, and I have a few that Knitty friends have given me, having handmade ornaments just makes it all the more special to hang on your tree and to decorate with. So I'm definitely going to make some more of those. I want to show one of Prudence's FOs. Hopefully I can get the girls to record later today. They don't have school since it's Martin Luther King's birthday. But Prudence, if you watched the last podcast, Atrella showed off some little candy cane pipe cleaners that she made. And Prudence was so bummed out because Atrella does not like sharing her craft supplies. And so I went, we had to go to the store for something, and I picked up Prudence's own pipe cleaners, and she came home and made like 10 ornaments. This is one of them. So she made a pipe cleaner in this shape, like she had it strung out and then put the beads on it, and she loves making patterns. This is my 6-year-old. She loves making patterns. She has since she was probably like 3. And so she made this little star pattern with pink and purple, her favorite colors, and then had her sister help her shape it into the star. But she, like, seriously, I hope she wants to go on later because she made so many of these. And then sit and cut snowflakes. I think that's going to be my first January ornament, just like a little crocheted snowflake, because it snowed. I'll bet a very tiny little dusting, but it did snow. I think 2 weeks ago, it was really, really, really cold, like in the teens, and we had a light dusting of snow. I mean, by light dusting, I mean, it was pretty sad and pathetic, but there was snowfall and the girls tripped. So I want to crochet a snowflake, but also in kind of memorial of Prudence had a severe accident that's so traumatic, but you should have seen her face because as we were packing and getting ready for New Mexico, I saw on Amber's podcast again to mention Maker's Haven, she had made snowflakes with her kids. And I always had so much fun doing that as a kid, and I told the girls, oh, this is something that, we can just sit and do while we make dinner one night or after cleanup or whatever. So we were doing that, but Prudence took it to a whole new level. She sat there for probably the rest of the week and made like 50 snowflakes. And the very last day before we left, she was sitting there making more snowflakes. And she cut the tip of her pinky, and she just was like, oh. She like freaked out. She was like, I cut my finger off, but it wasn't. I mean, she just barely snipped her finger, and I mean, it bled, and it was hurt, and it even busted open a few days later and bled some more, and I kind of freaked her out. So as much fun as that was, it was kind of tragic. So I would just really like to have a crocheted version of a snowflake. That way it will last forever because a couple of the paper ones have already torn and whatnot. But just as a memory of that, because I'm sure that's a story that she would love to hear, when she's 16 and 26, and I don't know. So that was a lot of chatter for that ornament. Another thing that I made, so a lot of people have been doing the crochet granny stripe blanket. You will not see me making that. Like, I'll say it here and now, because I have no desire to make. Tim has been trying to get me to make a scrappy blanket like that for a long time, and crocheting just isn't my favorite pastime because it makes my wrist click, and knitting does not. I mean, I can knit for hours and not have pain in my wrists, whereas I can crochet for an hour and have to stop because my wrists hurt. And I've tried different hooks and ergonomic hooks, and it doesn't really change. I'm only comfortable holding my hook one way, which is like the knife hold. Do I have a hook right here? I do. Hang on. I'm sorry. to always stand up and do this to y'all. But, so I hold my hook like this and work. And it just makes, I don't know, my wrist hurt. I'm going to set that there. So, that being said, I was inspired by everyone's crochet because I do love crocheting. And my local yarn store, Amy, the proprietor of that store, is a crocheter, knitter, prolific spinner, like she does it all. And she had a little crocodile crochet Christmas tree, and she had an ombre, variegated, or not variegated, but I guess ombre, what is that other word? Y'all are screaming it at me, but where it just, had a couple of different colors of green. And I was just inspired by that, so I came home and she didn't really have a pattern, or maybe she did use a pattern, I don't think she did. So all I did was crocheted a circle, like with a single crocheted stitch. So I don't do the magic ring, I believe it's called. I hate doing the magic ring, and a trick I found to not have to do that is just to crochet chain two, and then crochet your stitches into the first chain. So basically I did a crochet 2 and then crocheted 6 stitches into my first chain, and then increased from there. And you do, a chain 1, 2 single crochets in the next, not chain, single crochet in one stitch, 2 single crochets in the next around, and you go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, and I believe I did up to 6. That makes sense. I'm sorry. I'm not a pattern writer, and if you're not a crocheter, I probably don't make a lot of sense to you right now. And then once I had my circle, my base done, I crocheted through the back loop to create a ridge, and then did maybe 1 or 2 rows of just single crochet and started my crocodile stitch. And I just sort of decreased. It's not the neatest, but I just sort of decreased up to make this cone shape. Again, I'm not a pattern writer, and the crocodile crochet stitch can be found, you can search YouTube and figure out how to do that. If you don't know how, it's just a double crochet stitch that you do into V-stitches underneath. And then I stuffed it with rice. I put rice into a Ziploc sack and kind of weighed it down, and then did stuffing at the top. And it's just this cute little side table decoration for Christmas. We had it next to a candy dish at the cabin. We go stay in a cabin in New Mexico for Christmas, and I take a lot of Christmas decorations, so it's decorated. So that was that, and the yarn I used was just a Lion brand. It's something I had in stash forever. Lion brand. I can't even remember the base, but it's one of their singles, and it's really fuzzy, so it was a complete pain in the butt to work with. But it's done, and I love it, and I'm so glad that I made it. And I'm still on FOs, you guys. This is the next FO. I crocheted Prudence a pair of Christmas socks. I showed you the guys this yarn last time. It's the Cascade Heritage prints in colorway number 31. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen when I started these, I really felt like they were more Dexter-esque. Dexter is a TV show, if you don't know, and he's a blood analyst for the Miami police. And I just felt like these were totally Dexter socks instead of the peppermint I was going for. But a lot of you guys said that y'all saw peppermint, so. The colorway, when I was putting it into Ravelry, is actually called Roses. Go figure. 31 is Roses in Cascade. But again, it's just a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I knit these on size 9-inch circs, 1.25 I think, my standard, and I did 56 stitches for Prudence, and I knit the cuff long. I was watching a movie with her, and I think it's 21 or 22 rows. I was just banging it away, and yeah, I did the same toe color that I did with my socks, the Knit Picks contrasting, because why not? So those are her socks. She wore them several times already, and she loves them. So this is what I have left. after I got done with that. I have plenty for minis, plenty for a blanket, plenty. And then my post yarn, I've already started to wind into a little ball for minis, and that's what I have left of that. So the next finished object I did was a trellis Christmas socks. And again, this is Cascade Heritage, colorway 26, I want to say. And I called these Feliz Navidad socks because, come on, we love going to eat Mexican food, and I worked on these one night while we went out to eat, and I was just so happy. I was working on such a cute pair of Christmas socks. But again, a fish lips kiss heel. I did these again on 9-inch circs. Somebody asked me if I switch my needles when I'm doing 9-inch circs to do the fish lips kiss heel. I do not. One of the kids is awake. I'm sure they heard me talking. I do pop in stitch markers on halfway through my stitches, and I just keep on going and bang out that heel. And it's so easy, just do it. I think Kay said that on her latest podcast too. Hi Kay, from the Crazy Sock Lady. But yeah, I really love the fish lips kiss heel. I have it memorized. It's the easiest, fastest heel, I think. And you should definitely get it if you don't have it. Try it. So, more FOs, you guys. We're still going with FOs. This was to be my husband's Christmas present, but he wanted the seed stitch hat that I had made for myself, and so I did not finish this in time for Christmas, but he saw me working on it, and he was really impressed. This is the Antler hat by Tin Can Knits, and I told him that I would finish it if he would wear it. He said yes. So I did not do the decreases at the top of the crown very well. It's not exact, but that's okay. And he's worn it several times already, and he really loves it. And he looks so good in it too. And I loved working with this yarn. This is the Madeline Tosh Vintage, and it's a worsted weight, and the colorway is leopard. So it's just this really beautiful, dark, tonal gray. I am loving gray yarn right now, honestly. And the yarn that I had left on that, enough for a pom-pom, which he does not want, sadly. So who knows what will become of that. And then on Trella's yarn, so here's what I have left on Prudence's, and here's what I have left on Trella's. I should have weighed them, but I can tell Trella's is just slightly smaller. The next FO I have is Prudence's Little Honey. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen this on her. It looks so adorable. I have washed it, and she has worn it twice. She loves it so much. She says it is the softest sweater, and she loves how beautiful it is. And I'm just so, 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 so happy with this project. I can't even tell you. And I was playing Yarn Chicken pretty hardcore. Let me show you. This is what I have left of the gray. Now, I do have another whole skein of the same gray, so I wasn't too worried about running out, but I was, because I didn't want to break into another skein just for, a small amount on a ribbing or something ridiculous. But how exciting that I finished it with, I should have weighed it, but I'm assuming this is 8 grams. And then the pink, I have plenty of the pink left, this is Manos del Uruguay in colorway foil. And then the pink is Hedgehog Fibers in colorway. The lighting in here is awful. Pinky Swear. And it's been raining gray for 3 days. I love the rain, but I like the sun too. And here it is again. And it fits her really well. I feel like she'll probably fit into it next year too. Right now she can fold the cuffs and it's long enough, or she can unfold them and have it a little bit longer and hang over onto her wrists to keep her warm, which that's the way she likes to wear it. And then she just kind of wrenches the sleeves a little. But yeah, I freaking love it, guys. And actually Woolenbein and one of the other podcasts is hosting a little honey cal right now. So this is the perfect time to knit this. And I would totally call this a beginner project. It is a paid for pattern on Ravelry by Amy Miller. But I mean, I don't think it's very expensive. And it's definitely a beginner project, and it works up so quickly because of the stripes. I just felt like it didn't really fly because I didn't want to work on the sleeves, but the body did fly. I had the body done in a flash. And I was originally going to do the contrasting pockets with purple, but I ended up not doing that because I didn't want the purple to bleed. I was going to use a really saturated purple, and I didn't want to have to swatch because ain't nobody got time for that. And so I just did the pink for the pockets. And I feel like I have plenty of this to knit a heart for my Valentine's ornament, for my February ornament. So that is done. I'm going to take a sip because I'm sure my coffee's getting cold. Not yet. Not yet. So those are all my FOs, right? I believe it is. Let me look at my notes. I did crochet something else. So Atrella did a Secret Santa. Atrella is my 11-year-old. She did a Secret Santa for school and actually got a little boy who's obsessed with Pokemon. And so she asked me if she thought I could make something for him. And I looked around on Ravelry and found a little crocheted ball, a Pokeball, if you will. I think the pattern was not on Ravelry, maybe I Googled it and found it. But it was a quick workup, and then I actually did some fingerless mitts for him too that were Pokemon inspired. If you care to take a gander, the picture's on my Ravelry project page, and I just used some worsted weight acrylic stash yarn that I had because, again, it's for like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old boy, and I'm not using nice yarn for that. So that was 9 projects. If you were keeping track, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I swear there was something else I showed y'all that made it 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, we will move on. I have a couple of hose too. I have my Query fiber. Query. Let's Dress Crazy socks. I have a hoe of those. I finished this on our trip to New Mexico, the first one anyway. And again, I knit these toe up on 32-inch circulars, like Magic Loop, and a Fish Lips Kiss Heel again. And I really loved knitting this sock. I do have second sock syndrome a little bit. I don't know if you see that little place right there, but the yarn was actually split, and it has like one tiny little ply of yarn holding it together. So I'm going to have to go in and stitch that up. But not a lot to say. It's just a vanilla stripy sock. I really loved this yarn, but I haven't been motivated to knit the second sock. And I have to use the needles for another sock, so. And again, that's in my Nomadic Yarns little cube. I really love this project bag. The next hoe that I have, I can't remember the maker. I Heart You is this project bag, a Canadian bag maker. I really love the quilted bottom on this. There's a bit of yarn. Anyhow, what do I have in here? It's a hoe. I did a toe-up sock. I had this Nomadic Yarns. I knit Prudence a pair of birthday socks in it. This is Kiss the Girl, which is the Little Mermaid reference. I knit Prudence a pair of shorty socks for her birthday and then decided to make myself a matching pair. And the contrasting or coordinating heel and toe, I wish I'd have grabbed it out of my room, is actually from Cat's Kettle. So this yarn, the self-striping is Nomadic Yarns, and this is Cat's Kettle, but look how well it goes together. I just love that, guys. Again, a Fish Lips Kiss Heel. I knit these on circulars, Magic Loop style, and I just did a a roller, but not really, because the roller pattern, the Rose City Rollers, is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's cuffed down with a heel and gusset, and I did these toe up with a Fish Lips Kiss heel, but I kind of did them the same style. And I have plenty for another sock and probably some extras. And again, Nomadic Yarns. I love her card. Kiss the Girl. And it's her Spark sock base, which is not that sparkly, but I like it still. So that was that. I'm going to stop it right here for 1 second and check on my little that just got up, and I will be right back. She's just going to do art for a little bit, so I will get moving on taking a look at my notes again, on my whips. So if you've been watching podcasts lately, if you've been on Instagram lately, you will have seen this project. Everyone is knitting it. I am obsessed with it. Before we left for our trip, I pulled out all my yarns trying to find my fade. And I am not exactly overzealous with the yarns that I have. I love them, but I probably would have done something different had I been allowing myself to buy yarn lately. I have it all tucked in my fringe supply bag because that is the largest bag that I have for all these cakes, because it does take quite a bit of yarn. And here's what I have so far. Sorry, my needles are all all over the place. So I have knit section 1 and 2, and then now I'm knitting on section 3. And it is just so cool. So I guess if you're a fan of Candace, Pin, Feathers, and Pearls, I'm in the uterus stage of actually I'm a little bit past the uterus stage. But my colors, I'll give you a close-up. My color A, B, and then now I'm into my C. And there's one of my cute little stitch markers from Knitty by Nature. Hi, Melissa. But I will go over my yarns. I am using A is Madeline Tosh in the MCN base. If you can hear Lucy snoring, she's laying on the couch right next to me. In colorway Daffodil, so it's just this really pretty golden color. My color B is this Bohemia Fibers. I did a swapless swap with the Spicy Homemaker podcast. Melissa contacted Amy, and the way Amy dyes yarn is you send her a picture and she dyes yarn based off of that picture. And so my photo was a picture of sunset on the lake, and this is what Amy came up with, which I love. I've been hoarding this in my stash for quite a while, just trying to figure out what to use for it, and I'm so happy that I've put it into my fade. And so that's that B yarn right there. And then my C yarn is one of my club colorways from the Tim Burton Club with Molly at Homespun House. This was the November Club, and Alice Falls Down the Rabbit Hole. So it's got some of those flecks of yellow and gray. I just really like it. So after this, I'm going to go into, I can't decide, either of these grays. Maybe the lighter one. Both of them are Lolo Did It. This is Folsom, and this is Coal Miner's Daughter, which I'm a huge fan of Loretta Lynn. I'm a huge fan of Johnny Cash. I had to have these yarns, and I will probably buy them again because I love them so much. They're just such a good gray. So that's I'm probably going to go into the lighter gray and then the darker, because my next color is definitely going to be this, and I feel like it goes better with that. And this is bear with me, Once Upon a Corgi yarn in the colorway Nia, and it has greens and these purples and these flecks of gray, so yay. And then my last color is this Hue Loco in colorway, I don't remember the colorway on this. I'm gonna have to pop the tag out. It is a 50-50 silk merino. Most of these are sock nylon bases. This might be a BFL, I can't remember. I'd have to pop the tag out. But I don't mind that. I think that it's just overall such a lacy garter shawl that it's got a lot of texture anyway. This is darling. The colorway is darling, and it's Q Loco's opal base. Look at the sheen on that. Lovely, just lovely. So that is my Find Your Fade, guys. I am liking the project, but I'm also anxious about a lot of stuff. And so I'm casting on all the things. So I don't have a lot of progress on this only because of all the other casting on I've done, which I'll get right to. What else do I want to show you? I did go ahead and cast on for my second sock. I just have this in my little kitchen counter crafter bag that has this like snappy thing to close it. I know I showed you guys this when I got it, but I haven't used it, and it just like freaking amazes me. Okay, I'll stop. In here, I have my sock blank from Hey Holly Ho Hum, and I haven't really worked on this because I've been trying to knit all the other things, all the Christmas socks. But here's my first one. I did toe up, fish lips kiss seal, and then just Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And somebody asked me about how I do my toes on my Instagram because they thought my toes looked rather nice, which just made me feel so good. So if you're watching, thanks for that comment. I just love that. So here's my toes. And what I do is I knit one, make one left, knit to the last 2 stitches, make one right, knit one. And the same on the other side. What I do is magic cast on, I'm not sure. Easy cast on, you know, I showed you guys that little rocking cast on that I do. Then I knit one round and then increase every round until I have 16 stitches because I cast on 8 originally. Not 8. I cast on 16 stitches originally, so I'll work it until I have 16 stitches on each needle, and then do every other row until I have 32 stitches on each needle. And that's my toe. If that makes sense, I'm sorry again, I'm not the best at explaining things. But this stitch marker is from Hey Holly Ho Hum too, which I love. It's like this little scarab beetle. And it's different, like you flip it over and it's a crystal beetle. But this one, it's green. Yeah. So I did a little bit of yarn management. I pulled out quite a bit of the black. I wish I had pulled out maybe just a tad bit more. I was weighing it and kind of got scared about going over, so I just stopped. But it's got quite a bit more black than this sock, but that's okay. And again, they're gonna be fraternal, not identical, which I'm completely fine with. But isn't that a cool sock blank? No, my husband's awake, so I really have to hurry up, get this finished. And I still have so much to show. What else? Sip of coffee. So, since I was so excited about getting that honey done, I actually cast this on Saturday. Some of these other things I cast on before, but this is Atrilla's honey. And I'm using a bunch of yarn just so I can have the yardage without having to buy yarn. And I wish this was on bigger needles so I could stretch it out a little bit more. I'm not quite to the sleeve separation section, but I am probably 20 rows from that. So I'm doing the striping with the gray, and then I'm using a speckled cream and then a variegated blue to kind of try to have enough yardage. And this is in my Fawn and the Fox space bag. Atrella loves this bag. We went to NASA this summer because she loves space, and this is the bag I got right before we went, I think, so I could take it with us. But the yarns I'm using are Bohemia Fibers again, which I'm loving this yarn. It's just this really beautiful blue variegated. I got it in a swap. Let me see if I can say the colorway. It doesn't have a colorway. So that's obviously before she got her labels, because my yarn that I'm using has a label that's not in there. So forget that. But that's the blue. The cream is this plucky knitter that I got. My local knit store did like this yarn swap night where you brought some yarn from your stash and swapped with somebody's yarn from their stash. So I got this in one of those types of swaps. And the colorway is sprinkles on top, and it's their MCN base, so it's got cashmere. You can see the halo. This does not. This is just a nylon merino yarn. And then this one is Madeline Tosh Twist Sock, Twist Light, and it's just their sock base, merino nylon. I knit my featherweight out of this and love this base. Like, I will use this base again and again and again. So this colorway is gray. I don't remember. I can pop out the tag. Charcoal. That's not charcoal. Sorry, totally not charcoal. Maybe after you burn it, burnt charcoal. So that is what that is. Project all messy. And I'll be right back to show you guys more.